On August 18th, 2005, on Y Mountain above Provo, Utah, 4 friends disappeared into a small flooded passage inside a hidden cave and did not come back. They were less than a few minutes from the outside world, close enough that rescue crews could stand near the entrance and pump air toward them. But underground, distance can deceive you. A tunnel only 15 feet long became an impossible barrier, and one decision made in the darkness turned a late-night adventure into a fatal chain of events. The group had come together the night before in Provo. They were young, local, adventurous, and familiar enough with caves to understand the appeal of a place most people had only heard rumors about. Jennifer Galbraith was 21, from Pleasant Grove. Ariel Singer was 18, from Orem. Blake Donner, 24, was from Springville and was Jennifer's boyfriend. Scott McDonald was 28, from Provo. Joseph Ferguson, 26, had joined them as well. At dinner, the conversation turned to a strange little cave near the base of Y Mountain, above the old Seven Peaks golf course area. It was sometimes called Gollum's Cave, a name that fit its cramped, wet, hidden character. That night, the friends joked about another name, the Cave of Death. It was meant as dark humor, but the joke came from something real. This was not a broad tourist cavern with marked paths and railings. It was a small, partially flooded underground space, likely connected to old mining activity in the area. The entrance was obscure, tucked near trees, and the cave was not officially mapped in the way a public cave would be. The danger was simple and unforgiving. Tight rock, cold water, darkness, stale air, and a submerged tunnel where only one person could move at a time. What made it tempting also made it dangerous. At the far end was a small chamber that very few people had ever reached. To get there, you had to trust your breath, your nerve, and a rope running through black water. That combination would soon matter more than anyone realized. In the early morning hours, the group made their way toward the cave. It was around 3 a.m. when they arrived in the area. The city below was close, but inside the hillside the environment changed completely. The entrance was narrow. Water seeped through it. To move forward, they had to squeeze in one at a time. Once inside, the cave quickly forces you to slow down. You cannot stride through it. You crawl, bend, and feel your way forward. A short distance in, the passage forked. One branch ended without offering much. The other led farther into the wet section. After roughly 50 feet, the friends reached the feature that made Gollum's Cave famous among the few who knew it. A hole in the floor filled with water. This was the entrance to the submerged tunnel. It was only about 15 feet long, but it was narrow, dark, and underwater. A guide rope had been strung through it, reportedly tied to a rock near the opening and to wood in the chamber beyond. The plan was straightforward. One person would take a breath, submerge, pull through with the rope, surface on the far side, and signal back. Joseph Ferguson decided not to continue. He stayed behind while the others entered the water, one by one. For him, the adventure stopped at the edge of that flooded hole. For the 4 who went on, the most dangerous part had just begun. The swim into the far chamber appears to have gone successfully. Ariel, Jennifer, Blake, and Scott made it through the flooded tunnel and surfaced in the small room beyond. It was not a vast hidden cavern. It was more like a confined pocket in the rock, with chest-high water and a low tapering ceiling. There was space to stand and breathe, but not much more. At first, that may have felt like victory. They had reached the secret place they had come to see. Their lights would have caught wet stone, ripples in the water, and the rope disappearing back down into the tunnel. But then came the problem no one could properly measure in the moment: the air. A later oxygen reading in the chamber was about 19%, lower than normal outside air. That level is not instantly fatal, but it can affect judgment, breathing, coordination, and the ability to stay calm under stress. 4 people in a small enclosed space were also using up the limited breathable air. The situation was about to worsen. To leave, they had to repeat the same underwater swim in reverse. The first person started back. Investigators later believed Ariel was first. She would have taken a final breath from that stale chamber air, ducked under the surface, and pulled herself into the narrow tunnel toward the exit. But the signal that she had made it through never came. Inside the passage, something went wrong. She may have become disoriented. She may have lost the rope. She may have overshot the exit hole, a known danger in that tunnel, because the underwater passage continued slightly past the opening. In stirred-up water, even a flashlight can become useless. If you miss the exit in that kind of darkness, you are not simply lost. You are trapped inside a rock tube, holding one breath, with no room to turn around. Whatever the exact moment was, Ariel did not make it out. Her body blocked the passage. Back in the far chamber, the others waited. They expected a tug on the rope or some sign that the tunnel was clear. Nothing came. Seconds stretched longer, then longer still. They were in cold water, in a cramped space, breathing air that was already poor. The decision in front of them was terrible. Wait and keep using oxygen, or send another person into the same underwater tunnel. Someone had to try. The next person went under and followed the rope forward. But now the water was likely clouded with sediment. Visibility would have been worse than before. In that tight passage, there was no easy way around an obstruction. If the swimmer reached Ariel, there may have been no space to pass, no space to help, and not enough breath to reverse course. Then another followed, and another. One by one, the same trap closed around them. The physical layout made rescue from within nearly impossible. The tunnel was too narrow for normal movement. Panic would burn oxygen faster. Low oxygen before submerging would make each attempt weaker from the start. A short distance became deadly because every second underwater had to be perfect. Outside, Joseph waited. After about 45 minutes, he knew something was wrong. The cave was too small for his friends to be casually exploring for that long. He called others who knew about the cave, and the advice was clear: get help. At 6:25 a.m., police were called. Search and rescue teams responded, but they faced their own danger. They did not know the cave layout. They could not simply rush blind into a flooded, confined space and risk more lives. So they began pumping air into the cave and lowering the water, hoping the four might still be alive on the far side. Rescuers worked carefully and methodically. They used pumps, air equipment, wetsuits, monitoring devices, and confined space rescue support. Every action had to balance speed against safety. If the missing cavers were trapped beyond the flooded passage, air might save them. If the water could be lowered enough, rescuers might reach them without sending divers into the same narrow hazard. But the answer, when it came, was devastating. Nearly 4 hours after the emergency call, searchers found the first body in the underwater passage. The four friends were not waiting in the far chamber. They were inside the tunnel, all facing toward the cave entrance, as if they had been trying to swim out. The finding matched what rescuers feared. They had made it in, then died while attempting to return. The medical examiner determined the cause of death was drowning. Later, toxicology reports found no drugs or alcohol in their bodies. This was not explained by intoxication. It was a confined space accident, shaped by water, low oxygen, darkness, disorientation, and the brutal geometry of a tunnel too small to forgive a mistake. Ariel Singer, Jennifer Galbraith, Blake Donner, and Scott McDonald were recovered from the cave and returned to their families. Joseph Ferguson, the only one who had stayed back, survived because he stopped before the submerged passage. After the deaths, officials moved quickly to close the site. The entrance to Gollum's cave was sealed with concrete and rock, so no one else could enter the same passage. The tragedy also renewed attention on dangerous caves and abandoned mines across Utah, especially hidden openings that were known locally but not formally controlled. For the families, the public safety debate was secondary to the personal loss. 4 young people had gone out together for an adventure with friends. By morning, all 4 were gone.